Hello, everybody. Welcome to Echo Underground. I'm Shanique,
This is Mike.
and on this podcast, we talk about movies, TV shows, and music, and any other interesting topics. Today's episode is going to be about the country singer's new album, Now. Said that completely wrong, didn't I? I forgot her name.
Yeah, I was like, give her a proper introduction. Don't
You
don't
know
don't
what?
do her
This is
no gromminess like that, yo.
disrespectful to the one and only. Okay, we only do one take, so you get bloopers, apparently. No, but this episode is gonna be about Shania Twain new album called Now. And I think this is her first album in I don't know how many years. I don't know. But I wanna say at least 3 years because I don't remember her coming out with any album in the last 7 years at all. But I could be wrong, I'm not on my country like that. Michael, do you know?
If you ain't on your country, who you think you're talking to?
Yeah. I guess this is kind of like our second country one because Miley's Younger Now album was pretty country. And Kesha's
Pretty dang country.
and Kesha's album was pretty damn country. But I guess she's the only full on country artist we done before.
Mm,
Like she'll be at the CMAs, you know. Um
I can
so
definitely see that.
yeah. And I wanna also make sure you guys remember that you can comment and give us like feedback on our many social media accounts. We have an email, echoundergroundpodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us suggestions or be like, you could send us mail. We'll take it all. We take criticism completely fine. You can also tweet at us, Echo U Podcast. Some people have followed us on Twitter, and some people have DM'd us and also left comments. So that's good. We like to see reaction from the listeners. And you can also leave comments on our many social media podcasting apps as well. And I think we'll get an Instagram, but right now we just have Facebook and Twitter. And let's get into this episode. So, what did I think of this album? I'm gonna give it a C plus, and here's why. I think she has a good voice. I have no complaints about her voice per se. The way she sang every song remind me of Lord.
Hmm.
It's kind of I don't know how to describe Lord's voice, but I couldn't describe Shania Twain's voice either. But they're very similar. And with voices like that, if you're not gonna like hit any high notes or like vary your range, then at least your songs have to have some type of different arrangements, or everything's gonna start blending. And that's what for me that's what felt like it happened on this album. A lot of the songs sounded alike. So, like, I felt like I was listening to the same song multiple times, and that kind of happened towards the second half of the album. I like the first half more than the second half. I wish I liked the album more than I did, but I did not. But I still have a top three. Like, I'm not slamming the album. I think maybe hardcore country fans or fans of this woman, they'd be like, Shania's back. Ah, maybe. I don't know, because I've never listened to a full Shania Twain album. This is my introduction into a full one of her. Maybe not the best introduction, but it is. But I have listened to a couple songs, so I knew how her voice sounded. So overall, I'll give this a C plus. I think I wish I gotten more variety. Then I would have given it a higher grade. What do you think about this album, Michael?
I have a similar complaint as well, but leaving me at a C plus. Like I was gonna give it a B plus, but then it'll be me reaching because when I went through looking at my notes, I was like, dang, I don't really. My main thing is I don't really have anything on this. Like even with my top three, nothing on this album like blew me away. Like nothing was like a standout hit for the album. Like I do see some that will probably like definitely make to radios and all that. Definitely make to her maybe top five song that she if they catch enough tractions. Sorry, if they catch enough traction. And I was like, okay, that's good, but like as a complete package, I don't think everything pulled me in. And it's not even like anything was like specifically horrible with it. It's just like, and maybe it's just
Ah,
a country thing with me. Yeah, it just like never got past like a meth feeling, like okay, that was good, but it's been done. You're not really breaking the formula or the mold. And I think there's only like one song I think on this album where I noted that she actually like kind of belted out her actual vocal cords, and I could actually hear some singing stuff. 'Cause I know when you sing like pop and country, you're not necessarily being put up in a position where like you're gonna hear someone's complete voice to be impressed by what they can do, and that's definitely the case with this album,
Wait, I have a
which is
question. When you say pop, what do you mean? Do you
like
mean upbeat
like
pop or do you
like
mean like mellow pop? Because those are two different type of things.
well,
Because ballads are
I'm talking.
in the pop
Hold
genre.
on, hold on, hold on. Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about like the bubbly, bouncy type of pop. And either way, even the other one, I don't necessarily see her pulling either genre as far as her singing goes either way. Because a lot of times I like to use that for certain artists to like sort of drag me back into it with. Because I know for a fact I did that with Rag and Bone Man. I think he's probably my biggest example of that. Is where like the song and stuff, like the instruments and stuff and all that, like they were bleh. But then like you heard the guy sing, and then my eyeballs blew up inside my skull, and I was like, "Yo, that's the guy right here. He's making the album through his voice, not through like the actual music being produced behind it." And that's kind of what I was hoping I'd have for this album. Everything just sort of like flatlined and like plateaued in a certain area that I was just like, it's alright. But yeah, we'll get to that in more detail in a sec.
Yeah, and like, I think I don't particularly like using pop as an example, only because pop is so broad. But I get like, I don't know, maybe it's a country thing, but country's not usually about belting like high notes or something like that, or
I said that.
doing anything like that. But your songs usually, at least from what I've heard of country albums, your beats have to be different, and you have to use your voice differently on each track, or it's going to sound the same. But I think that could be said for any genre. R&B, rap, well, not rap, rap's not singing, but you know, what's another genre I'm trying to think of? Like even like rock as well. At a certain point, if you just scream every song on the album, I'm gonna say, oh, it sounds the same. And I think one of my issues is had nothing to do with the genre itself. It had to do with how she sang each song. There was no variety in how she sang any of the songs. It was like she took one vocal range and said, I'm gonna keep it through all the songs. I can't think of one where it sounded like really different. I just think the arrangement saves some. At least my top three, I think the arrangement saves them more than like her actual voice. Her voice is not bad, but it's not also my favorite either. So I don't know if we're even gonna have the same top three. What album did we have the same top three on? I don't remember. Do you?
We talked about this just recently too. That's the worst part.
It's a mystery. Let you guys know. If you've been listening long enough, you guys know. Um, so top three, top three, top three. So my number three, drum roll, is going to go to. I'm gonna have to give it to "Swinging with My," I think, closet.
With my eyes closed.
I'm sorry, I wrote that title wrong. Is it "With My Eyes Closed"? Yeah, I didn't write the
Yeah,
word
but
eyes. That's what happened.
before you even get started, this is also my number three, so we're off to a bad start in case we're predicting who
Oh yeah,
who's going to have the same top three as the other person. But go ahead.
yes. So one, I like the reggae feel of it. I was like, oh, I thought it was a perfect introduction to the album. Unfortunately, the rest of the album wasn't as. It didn't actually catch me as much as the song. Um, I like it wasn't typical country. Like if I didn't know this was Shania Twain, I would think it was more of a pop song. I also like she did this weird thing where like between like she dropped the reggae beat for the chorus and then she put this strong guitar between each of the verses. And I thought that was actually really creative and I like that she took that chance and it works out for the song. I'm not gonna talk completely about it since Michael had the same number three. Go for it.
No, you covered one of my main points anyway. Because my thing was like, one thing I realized about not even like outside of my top three with the rest of the album, that a lot all of this album had a lot of experimentation with like genre bending, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like especially most of the faster paced songs. Like I know there's some slower ones, but especially you can just tell it was just meant to be country. But then you run into ones like this where it's like you squint your eyes when listening to a song like that sounds tropical. That sounds tropical and country. That's a weird two things to put together, and for some reason it worked. Like it stood out to me in that sense, as compared to everything else. Because I think that as far as all the ones that did get genre bent, this is the one that did the best for me.
Okay, cool. Number two, I put Let's Kiss and Make Up.
Okay.
And one, I love the beat of it. Cause after like my top choice, which I will say, there was like a couple songs like, all right, it's okay. I mean, I liked them, but I didn't like. Again, I wasn't really blown away by it. But then this upbeat song comes on, and she sounded really good, and it's catchy. And again, it did the same thing where genre bend, um, this song and made it feel more pop, but you could tell it's a country song. So that's why I like Let's Kiss and Make Up. Do you have any thoughts on it? Or unless it's on your list?
No, it's not. But I also thought and maybe this is probably my paranoia kicking in later in the album. But I also could have swore like this one also kind of had like some kind of I don't want to say reggae, but something
Yeah, it had like a
like an
Caribbean type beat in the
island beat in
background.
some kind of capacity. I can't really tell you what it is, but I've kind of felt like a small tinge of it in this one as well. And I think it did it really good. 'Cause I remember liking the song as well too. It's also a pretty good one.
I think this is also the song where they kind of use like they used the banjo to make kind of like a Caribbean beat, and I thought that was creative as well.
Okay, yeah. I do remember hearing a very strong banjo song, so this might be the one I'm talking about then.
So what's your number two?
My number two is Life's About to Get Good.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the words in the album. I did like that song.
I remember this one too because I feel like this is the second one. I think like only my number one stood out from this whole pattern I have with the whole genre bending thing. This one was interesting too because like there was a weird transition. Like her voice is country, but then she had like a strong electric guitar and like those big silver drums that you sometimes hear. Like I know it's like the same kind of drum you hear in like the Little Mermaid opening. It sounded like that, but you put some guitars on it and she was still singing kind of country. And I was like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. You can't you can't put vanilla and chocolate together. It doesn't make any sense.
It
But
does
then
make
no,
sense.
it makes perfect sense in this one. She made a perfect Oreo cookie with this one, and I was like, you know what? People are gonna like this. And I sure did. So that's kind of where I landed with this one.
Okay, cool. Um, Actually, that was probably out of the second half. That was probably my favorite song,
Hmm.
despite like one song. Um, I love the message, and what made this song good for me was the arrangement of it. Because I think if the arrangement wasn't on point, I wouldn't have liked the song as much. And again, her voice was really good on it. I have no complaints about her voice. I don't think there's ever gonna be a point in any of these songs where I'm gonna complain about her voice. It's just basically like I think the arrangement can save a song or kill it, depending on how you do it.
Hmm.
So, number one. You want to guess my number one?
Let me take one quick look.
He's not. He's not
Home
gonna get
now?
it. Home now?
Yeah.
No. It's
Okay, I
close
don't know.
in the sound in the list.
I'm really reaching right here because like the only one that stands out is mine. And I don't want to tell you mine, so it's like I'm trying to just like pick a random one now. This is the problem with the album. It's like everything else sort of like gets a similar grade as the song before and after, except for like the few exceptions here and there. Like the one that I think it is probably gonna be mine, but I hope not. Go ahead. I'm actually curious. Don't say mine though.
I can't guarantee because we didn't listen to it together. But Poor Me is my number one.
Oh, okay. All right. That's actually a good one too. You're right.
It was catchy. It was oddly upbeat, but it was kind of depressing when you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah,
She was just not having a good time in this
yeah,
song at all.
definitely.
But it's one of those where it was probably the only like country song, and I was okay with it was that it was that way. It was a typical "My life sucks, I'm a drink" type song, but I
Hmm.
liked it. She did a lot of play on words as well, like saying "poor me, my life sucks." She was like, "Oh, pour me a drink." She did a lot of that, and I did like how she got creative with her lyricism in this. So yeah, I'll give that my number one. What do you have to say about "Poor Me"?
Oh, that's an interesting number one too, because I actually did listen to a song. I was like, this is definitely one of the darker ones. On like a majority like positive album, this song just sort of came out of no like. I think there's like maybe like two songs actually. One I believe um was interesting. Like I know the title kind of makes it look like it's really not, but a lot of my life is kind of weird when you listen to it a little deeper. Because we'll talk about it in a second, but I like, this one was really on the dark side because, like, it's talk about, like you said, just drinking because things got a little out of hand. Like, pour me this, pour me that, and screw it, just pour me some juice now, yo, because I'm doing something wrong. Um, it was a very interesting contrast to the rest of the album, and I kind of liked it for that. Even though, like, it wasn't like a super standout for me, but I feel like right around the baseline where I'm like, um saying that everything is like granted this is just an opinion, but around that baseline where I was saying everything this is this is where everything is as far as quality goes, should I say. I feel like this one stood out not because of the music but because of the actual like feel of the song, because everything else was like came close to talking about love and some sort of like positive attribute to life in some other aspect. And then this one was like, nah, yo, forget it. So I liked it for that. That was pretty cool.
The contrast. All right,
Yeah.
I want to guess your number one. Since it's not home now, is it? Um,
Could today be the day she guesses the right number one?
no. The first time we did it, I did guess it. I just haven't gotten it right since that. um,
Okay.
uh, more fun.
No, but you were so close to it though.
What? Who's gonna be your girl? That one.
Wrong again. It was one more ahead of it. I'm all right.
Oh, that I don't even like that song.
Really? Here's why I do. One, I'm a sucker for songs that build up, and this song definitely built up while I'm through it. And it was in big part to two things. The instruments, even though like they had like a short shine in the song, they actually helped with her voice. Like the pace sort of kicked up at the around like the second chorus or so, like toward maybe the bridge and the actual conclusion of the song. That's where things kind of picked up for me. And not only that, but I can't believe I'm even saying this, 'cause I don't think this is something I've ever said about a song before. But the background singer, or maybe the overlay of her own voice on the song, I don't know what it was, because I know some people do that. But whichever one it was, like that actually like definitely helped up um the continuation of the song for me, in my opinion. Because cause to be honest, when it started off slow, I can definitely say that I probably wouldn't have been a fan of this song if I got cut the last half out. I feel like it complements each other in its own weird way for me. Because I think on the day what's the name, shoot, the Foo Fighters album, I said a similar thing. Because I'm like, yo, these guys are like the kings of like straight up using this one formula of building up a song and then they're just using that because it sounds so good. Like it starts off slow, then slaps you in the face with a heavy guitar. And I feel like the background singers and the instruments and later on the song is definitely like this song's version of it in its own way.
All right. Okay. I don't know. I didn't. This song was just okay to me. I didn't get pulled in the way you did, but hey, I guess that's what this podcast is about, differing opinions. So I guess the next one is Home Now. Now I was still like into this album when Home Now, because that's just the second song.
Mhm.
And whoever's playing the banjos, good shit, man. You were
That's
really
what I had
good.
here too.
Like who's ever playing the banjos on this, pretty good. And it made the beat good, and the song was very catchy. And I was like, man, you close to being you're probably one of the better songs on the album. And it was really like it kept me wanting to continue the album. And then things kind of changed on certain parts. But other than that, I did like Home Now. What about you? What do you think of Home Now?
Aside from the banjo, which I think was one of the things I thought I was gonna hate because I'm like, all right, I know Shania Twain's gonna hit me with some country stuff on this album. It was not even that noticeable in the first one because of Swing with My Eyes Closed just had a whole bunch of genres going on. So I figured, all right, it's gonna be like one of them subtle ones. Then as soon as I heard this banjo, I'm like, oh no, here it comes. And then I realized I was nodding my head. I'm like, all right, Michael, you're a hypocrite. You might like it. So that's kind of where I land with Home Now. And I figured because country isn't my genre, so I figured, all right, this banjo is about to like take it to the freaking deep Texas or something like that. But no, it came out all right for me. Did not mind it at all. I think there's also another good range of well, smaller range of genres in this one. I have it written down here. I have to listen to the song one more time. I believe it's like a 16 song album. Well, for the deluxe, I don't think we mentioned that, but we listened to the deluxe album, and I'm forgetting which one got mixed in with the country here. Cause I know the banjo was the country aspect of the song, but something else like sort of changed it up for me. But that's kind of why I liked it though, because it's like it's one of them reasons where I was like, this Shania Twain definitely does a good job with like the genre bending, and this one's a little more subtle, especially compared to Swing with My Eyes Closed. But I liked it for that though.
Okay, cool. So next song, Light of My Life. Ah, it had a very nice beat, like, and I could say that about everything. The song was well produced. Her voice was mellow and it was calm. But again, for the title of the song, I wanted more emotion in her voice and I didn't get that. So that's why I was like, oh, it's just okay. I don't know. What do you think of Light of My Life?
My favorite part of Light of My Life, and it's the song I was mentioning before, Pour Me. My favorite part, Light of My Life is the chorus. I feel like that's probably the shining aspect because I feel like the verses and the bridges, I'm not sorry, the bridge, they were okay. Like there's nothing particularly wrong with it. It's this kind of where like the baseline quality starts kicking in for me. But one of the things about the song is when you listen to it a little deeper, you realize even though the song is called Light of My Life, I think the person she's talking about has no idea she exists. Cause I think this is one of them weird like stalker type songs. If you listen to it, you'll realize it too. Cause it's like something about like I'm putting all this effort into you that's not getting returned to me because you don't know who I am or something like that. I'm like, excuse me. Like I'm paraphrasing here. Don't this is not actual lyrics. Don't quote me on that. But like that's definitely the message the song kind of had. And I was like, I'm conflicted about how I feel about the message of this. Cause crazier things have happened with for people who are in this kind of position. But I also see where I don't know her life personally, but I see like weird ways in which it works where like you're just loving someone from a distance, I guess, and that's kind of where I'm getting with this song. And for that, I kind of liked it because I felt like when you actually like get sucked into a song, and you hear like some hidden message in there or underlying theme for it. It just like it makes you curious about where the heck the song was going, and that's kind of where I'm at with Light of My Life. It was interesting.
Okay, and like you mentioned it, it made me think of You Don't Know My Name by Alicia Keys.
Yeah, yeah,
She's talking
yeah.
about having this life and everything, and then she goes, "You don't know." I'm like, so you doing all this, but he don't know your name? That sounds
Right.
kind of weird, but I get what you're
A little
saying.
bit.
Next song, Who's Gonna Be Your Girl? Now,
Hmm.
this song is I'm essentially the ride or die girl song. It's like she's kind of saying, "Who's gonna be your girl when you have
All the
nothing?"
boys are gone.
Yeah, and very classic country, and I did like it how it was arranged, everything, and she's very smooth vocals. I don't know what he's doing, but whoever man she's talking about in this song, he not right. He just like I'd rather be with my friends, bump you, I'd rather do other things, and she's like, well, when they're gone, I'm gonna be here. But what if I'm not here? Then who's gonna be your girl? That's essentially what the song is. Basically
Yeah, like you better start
appreciating her.
appreciating me before you realize I'm your only option, and then you've been treating me wrong. So I feel you. I definitely feel you on that.
So I did love this song, and I did. This came after my number one, so I was still like really happy so far with the album. You have anything else to say about who's gonna be your girl?
Nah, I mean it's a sweet song, and I'm pretty much right there with you. I kind of caught like the underlying tone of it too. Like I got caught into just listening how to how this was one of her songs. Her vocals are just like it's not necessarily showing off anything, but it's kind of endearing though, especially considering the message of the song. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And Pour Me was pretty nice too. So I feel like the transition between the two was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's like poor me's like I'm depressed as fuck. Then it's like,
Probably
well,
because you don't
and
realize who's going to be your girl when your boys are gone. I'll talk
you.
about that in the next song. And then she did exactly that.
I was gonna say she drank so much and poor me that she just ranting in who's gonna be your girl. That's me.
Hmm.
I was like,
Pretty much.
okay. Next song, More Fun, which was I think was my honorable mention of the album actually. And what I actually love about it, it's not really her singing. It's the use of the piano that actually makes me really love this song.
Yep.
It's so like I love people who utilize the piano because piano's normally soft, but whoever's playing is like banging the shit out of this thing, and it works for the song. And I maybe because I haven't listened to a lot of country, but I've unless it's like slower country, I've never heard a piano really used like that song "Waiting Game" that I told Michael about. Um, that's a country song that utilizes the piano perfectly, and this was the same one in a different way because it's more aggressive. But I did like the song, and the chorus really sold me on it. What do you think about More Fun?
The same thing, but there's also one thing I realized in the song too, because it wasn't just the piano. There's like two main instruments being played. The primary one being the piano, and the secondary one, which I thought was like a weirdly interesting instrument to incorporate with a piano, was the electric guitar. Because like even though I'm sure that there were probably more instruments than that, but like these two are the ones you hear primarily. 'Cause everything else is like background noise and ambience for the song. And I was like, that's a interesting coupling of things to work, and then it worked so damn well. And I think
Yeah,
like it's weird. Like this is one of the only times I've ever thought like, yo, that brought me in more than the singing did. Like the actual instrument play behind the singing, complementing the singing itself, actually brought me in more. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is someone who's I don't know if it's like a weird experimentation they're trying to pull off, or maybe this is just like just something that kind of happened by accident. Whatever the case may be, I thought it was a really good call, and the song was better for it.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna let you take the lead with the second half because you like this album actually probably more than I did. What do you think of? Where do you think you're going?
I thought it also had good build-ups on this one. I did think it was a neat little message in this one too. Like, the nobody loves you like I do type message. Like, where do you think you're going, yo? I love you right here. You ain't about to go nowhere. And, like it sounded like there was definitely some kind of drama to this track, and I kind of liked it for that. Because she's apparently good at telling these stories through these songs now. Like we've realized, and in Shanique's number one, who's gonna be your girl, and some of these other ones, like especially like Light of My Life, like there's actual story behind a lot of these songs instead of like just being like a thematic thing around like one thing. It's like a progressive thing. Because especially with when you add in like build-ups to it, it's like the story actually has a climax, and it's like, oh, that's really weird. It sounds like kind of writing a freaking soundtrack for a TV show or a movie or something like that, where like the drama's getting lower heightened. But that's kind of where I'm at with this one.
Okay. So like for me, again, I had the issue where like you have an aggressive title that's like, where do you think you're going? Blah blah blah, and then you hear la la la. Like
Hmm.
it threw me off, and I couldn't really get into it. And honestly, I thought the song was very forgettable on the album, but I guess I expected more and I got less, so I was like, okay. And then next one, Roll Me on the River. Take it
Definitely
away.
one of the definitely one of the more country songs on the
Yeah,
album.
look at the title.
Yeah, and I was like, it's where it's actually what I did too. I looked at the title and I was like, I think I know what I'm walking into here, and damn sure I was right. However, I will say though that the chorus in the song was pretty dope. I definitely like that more than anything, more than all the other aspects of the song. Um, the country just of it didn't really take me out of it. I was completely okay with it. You know, like I said, outside the chorus, but it's weird. Like I feel like no, it's more baseline stuff hit me at this point. It's
Yeah.
like plateau, but like it's weird. It's even though I'm saying it's a plateau, every song had like one unique aspect about it that was like that stood out more than the other. It just wasn't enough to say that this song is the one that you're gonna listen to this album and remember, or this is the song that's gonna be on the radio, or this is gonna be the one that revitalizes her since her number one hit. Um what's that one that you talking about, Shanique?
Oh, she had a couple, but I think her most famous one is Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Man, I feel like a woman, right? That's another thing too. I never really felt a song on this album because if it, like I could tell you
Mm,
my opinion, which is my favorite tonight, which I already did, but I can't really say that anything's going to probably get that big. Like no super standouts. Like even if you have like a 16 song album, you usually have enough room for like one standout to keep you alive for another couple of years. But I feel like there's no standouts on this one either. But I'm just throwing that in there though. What do you think about Roll Me, Roll Me on the River?
ah.
Uh oh,
I tell you,
you
like
in
this,
trouble,
I'm telling
Shania?
you, the second half of the album, I really just did not care. Um, but I did listen to it. I was actually, you know what it was? I was getting to the point I just wanted the album to end. Like that never happened. I'm the one usually that could find something good to say. I don't fail albums, and I still didn't even fail this album. I give it about a C or C
Hmm.
plus
Hmm.
because like I just think her style in this album didn't work for me. You know, it's not like the songs are bad. I don't think any of the songs were bad. It didn't pull me in.
Hmm.
It was just okay. That's how I felt about the whole album. It was just okay as a total. And when it started, I was like, I don't know what to think of this song. And I actually thought the countryness of that song probably saved it for the most part. And that's something I never thought I'd say because I'm not the biggest fan, but
Right.
definitely thought that saved it. But overall, I was like, it's okay.
Yep.
We got something they don't. Mr. Brown, take it away.
Definitely, it's weird. I kind of say that it was sounding like it's maybe from like a generation or two ago, maybe from like the early 2000s or 90s, because this wasn't necessarily like an overtly country song for me, but if you can definitely tell that there were some elements to it though. And like, I think it's another one of the ones where it's like, what was that song we were just talking about? Give me a second here. More Fun, in which I found the instruments more um, appealing, should I say, than the actual singing was.
Shade. I'm
And
playing.
huh?
Nothing. I'm playing. Keep going.
Oh, I ain't hear what you said, but it's all right. I'll get to your shade later. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's weird because the one factor of this album that makes it stand out to me could be used in a way later on that could actually be used to blow people out of the water. That person might not be me because it might have a disadvantage because I'm not that big of a fan of country. So there's definitely some like slight bias here. But I feel like the element that she used, the whole like elemental, instrumental,
Wow.
prowess in these songs and the genre bending. I feel like that's two really interesting things to have at the same time. And I'm not gonna say like a standout voice, but an okay voice to carry those things though. So I feel like in the right hands, maybe in the future she comes back with something else that it can probably be a big drawing factor for her.
Maybe. Okay. For me, I thought her vocals was actually really good on this song. It was very catchy. And then I thought the song got really good when it started hit the middle of it. From the middle to the end, I thought really good. It built it up. It actually had a build up to something really good. And how many times did I say that? I did like the build up, and I felt the song got better as it went on.
Would you say it got really good?
I don't know. Did it? Did it get really good? All right. Don't play a drinking game because I will say it just to see who got better.
Right, for real. Trying to kill y'all guys.
I ain't trying to kill them. I'm trying to loosen them
Look
up a
out for
little bit.
yourselves.
A little, get them loose. Can you imagine someone listening to our podcast drunk?
I'm going to start listening to our podcast drunk. Like after the fact, I'm just gonna be like, all right, time to review it. You know, every time Shanice says it's really good, I'm just gonna take a shot.
That would only actually, be valid for this podcast. And I only did it 3 times.
Oh, 3 times back to back. I feel like those 3 shots back to back are only like just
Cause you gotta
like
get a
throwing
real
up in my
shot
gut, ready to
glass.
kill me.
Michael likes some little tiny shot glass and then want to clean those shot glass. You need the ones from the movies. Those
I
big
feel
ones.
like your definition of tiny and the rest of the world definition of tiny aren't the same thing, but that's just me.
No, like I showed you the ones in the movie and you were like, no, that's not what a real shot glass looked like. But I'm like, he asked to take a shot and that's what the guy did.
That's
Okay.
not a shot. He's
He's like,
maybe
that's a
he
glass. That's a
maybe.
mini glass, apparently, according to Michael. That's a mini glass.
Oh my God! If this wasn't a podcast, and I could actually like show some, tell you what, I might just throw one up on the Twitter account and show you guys what she's talking about. Because clearly, Shanika never seen a proper shot glass in her life, which is weird. Like he bought me one from Cuba, which was nowhere near the same size. But you know what? Fine, you'll see it on check out the Twitter account, guys. I'll show you something that Shanika's calling a shot glass, and I'll prove her wrong.
Yo, and leave comments, because if you actually take shots out of that, then tell him and be like, yo, we take shots out of that. It's a shot glass. Anyway, moving forward.
Hmm.
Because of you, I have no real thoughts on this song. It's decent. It's just like okay. That and the next song, You Can't Box Love, it's just okay to me.
Can't
I
buy love.
Is it? I did put buy. I thought I said buy. It looks like I
Oh,
wrote it wrong. Did I say
I'm about to
buy or
say.
box? I don't know. If I said
Box?
box,
Like, hold up. You made me think I wrote it wrong. I was like, yo, let me go check the Spotify real quick. Hold up.
yeah. It's been one of those days. Anyway, um,
Shanique's already drunk.
yo, I don't drink. That's crazy. You drink more than me.
No. This is not the this is not about me, okay? This is about Shanique.
Yo, okay, but yeah, You Can't Buy Love. They sound similar to me, and I was just like okay with both of them. So take both away. Go for it, Mike. Because of you.
Here's my thing about because of you. I actually thought it was a nice little love song because it was saying I'm gonna keep this short, but it was saying like because of you, I'm me, and I'm like, oh, I get it. And this is
Mm,
a very like this song, and I know this is definitely bias here, but it's making us guys look good, man. I was like, she was talking it was nothing but positivity towards the person that she's talking about. But because of you, I'm this much better. I can do X, Y, and Z. You know, we're a perfect match. All the lovey-dovey tropes and cliches and whatnot. I'm like, yes. Compared to what we've been hearing on like Demi Lovato's album, yes, finally.
hey, she has some positive songs.
She did, but there's a lot more there's a lot more shade than sunshine on that album. Okay, give me some. Ain't no way. But yeah, I thought that was cool, and I feel like You Can't Buy Love was I feel like it was different sounding. I feel like it was one of the bouncier ones from Shania on this album. It weirdly sounded kind of like sunny and what am I trying to say? Like one of them sunny like summer hits sort of. I really wish I had the word for this, guys. I'm sorry, my vocabulary is limited today. But I don't
Summer
know.
hits.
Either way, listen. If you hear this song, it's like it doesn't necessarily stand out, but it's bouncier than most album has been so far.
Yeah.
Because it definitely went way pop, way more pop than anything else, more than any of the other songs did.
Yeah, a lot of one thing I would say, a lot of the album sounded very country influenced by pop. It was, I don't know what that genre is called, because I know R&B influenced with pop is called something. Maybe country. Maybe it's called country pop. I don't know. Not I'm not really, on point with my country subgenres. So any country fans, help us out. What is that
Mhm.
called? Um and then and I guess it surprised me, but I shouldn't be surprised because some of her biggest hits were very much pop influence. Soldier. Um it was, again, just okay to me. It had a good message from what I remember of it, and it was more slow,
Mhm.
but I would say that you could probably hear her voice more on this song than some of the other songs. Other than that, overall, I thought it was a good song. I'm glad she didn't end the album on it, though. I'm really glad she didn't do that. But what about you?
Um, I thought this was also another. I think probably the number one. If like you want to hear Shania, not necessarily like go into a genre, but like use her voice, this is probably where to go for it. Like you said, definitely the one where it's like she's kind of just like giving you a little ballad about something here, and it's actually pretty dang good. I feel like it's not necessarily something that's masterful enough to be on all the other songs, but I feel like in this song in particular, it was fine. Like we've heard plenty of good singing on this podcast, and I feel like this sort of is Shania's close that she's ever come to, like at least for me, the closest she's ever come to, like really damn good singing on this album. Because everything else is just like it was like a song where it's like everything needs to complement each other. This one is like straight up vocal cords taking over, and that's all she needed for this one. And for that, I'll say she did pretty damn good.
Okay. Oh man, this is about to be a tangent, but I did look up country subgenres because I was kind of curious about it. So there's a lot of weird subgenres. Apparently, there's country rap, which didn't even know there was such a thing.
Their country metal.
Yes, I believe.
Wow, I was joking.
Yes. There's but country pop is either called country pop or cosmopolitan country. There's
We're gonna do that genre for April Fool's Day.
yeah, country blues. There's also neo traditional country. There's hillbilly music.
Ding ling 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 ding ling ling.
Yep. There's outlaw country. There's red dirt, which I don't even know what the hell that is.
That's
There's
interesting.
there's southern soul. That's interesting. There's techno country. Hey, go for it. There's also white power country, which I'm not gonna comment on that title.
Thanks for pointing that one out, Shanique.
What? There's country folk, there's swamp music, there's Cajun, and there's bluegrass gospel, which I've heard of before.
That Louisiana stuff.
Yep. Just little tangent right there, but that was some weird titles. And then to close out the album, she did All in All. Now, to me, this song is very hippie like, but I like it. I actually thought that this was a perfect song to close the album because it gives you basically the feel of the album in a weird way. Like, oddly enough, I think if you listen to this song, you would get how the rest of the album sounds. I don't know, maybe you disagree, but I actually did like All in All. What about you, Michael?
I thought it was an appropriate closer because one, it was just straight up more like a middle pace. Like the songs that she chose for the 15 songs before it, they sort of went from like slow to high, slow, middle, slow, high. So I feel like a middle pace song was pretty good, and I feel like the title in itself was kind of conclusive. It's like when you ending an argument or a debate or some sort of maybe essay or something like that. You kind of just say, well, all in all, blah 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 blah. And I was like, wow, this you're really like appropriately naming your last song something that signifies, yo, this is the last song on the album. This is my conclusion. And I feel like it was an interesting closer because I did not mind the sound of it either. it came right in that good gray area where I kind of like my ending songs to be at, which actually gives her more points too, because you guys know how I am a stickler for the opening and closing songs and albums, and I feel like this one did it really dang good. If I can give it one good compliment above some of the other albums that we've reviewed on this podcast, even though this album gets a C plus from me, one of the main things I like though is the fact that the song transition and like placement on this album was top notch, and I can't knock that at all.
Yeah, it wrapped the album up in like a neat bow, essentially. And
Hmm.
one more positive thing I would say about the album in total, I actually thought every song was in the right order. And that's not always what I hear in like some of the album. Like I would have put this song here. I thought she picked the songs perfectly in the order that it came in, and the transitions were maybe some of them were jarring, but they worked.
Hmm.
So that's one thing I would give her. I didn't have any issues with the order of the song. And so, I guess that's kind of my closing remark. I think it was well arranged. I think the songs all mesh well for this album.
Hmm.
I just wanted more variety, essentially, on how, like, not even topics, just how she, like, arranged her voice a little bit on this album. I wanted her to take a little bit more risk. You can still be country and take risks. That's all I'm saying. And, I would still listen to it. I think if you like Shania Twain, you will find something you love about this album. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is not necessarily like a resurgence for Shania Twain, but I feel like it's good enough to listen all the way through to, because is even though I said everything about each song, about how I felt about each song, one thing I never said about any of the songs is that like I particularly disliked anything. My thing is like it did get a little feel like a battle of attrition where it's like everything just started to blend together in a weird way. Like I think a handful of songs here and there kind of stood out because of like the experimentation that she did with it, but nothing to like keep the album as like when you think about Now by Shania Twain, that this is the song you'll probably be hearing next year or the year after that. You know. So yeah, no real. My real thing is there's just no standouts. No standouts for the song. I think everything just got done at a baseline level. No real risks were taken, and I feel like Shania kind of has the potential to pull that off. But you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. If not, Shanique will tell you that you should let us know on our podcast. I mean, sorry, on our Twitter account or on our SoundCloud. But I'll let her take that over from here because she's the closer and she's who we go to for these things. Take it away, Shanique.
Thank you. I like that you started closing it early. Oh, but yeah, like Michael said, we want to know, were we too harsh? Country fans, let us know. Maybe we need to experience other albums by her because I think eventually we might do like a throwback month, start doing old albums by artists,
Hmm.
old movies. Maybe one day in the future. Um, but you can let us know at our email echoundergroundpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us suggestions. You can write us an email about what do you think we could do to improve. What do you want to hear from us? We want to get feedback from
Send
you guys.
send us pictures of actual shot glasses.
Okay, be easy on the pictures because people like to send weird stuff too. But
True story.
hey, some of I'm not gonna say that. Anyway, back to closing this out. You can also leave comments and subscribe to us on iTunes as well. And we're Echo Underground Podcast on iTunes. We're pretty easy to find on iTunes. You could follow us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and all probably any type of podcasting app like Castbox or I think we're also
Podbean.
huh?
Podbean. Forgot to mention that one.
Yes, Podbean as well, which is our main website, and that's what we also when we post links on Twitter, that takes you to our main website. So yes, Podbean as well. And I guess you could definitely, we just want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you think. Follow us because that helps us a lot. Give us some likes, leave some comments, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.